fairly basic set of things that anybody should be able to do, that isn't in any way threatening.
Most of the workers are from relatively poor backgrounds. They're looking for a good job so that they can send money home to their families. That's a story you hear all the time in Qatar. They go to recruitment agents in their own country who tell them what their salary will be, often telling them flat out lies, telling them salaries that are much higher than they're going to get paid, send them off to Qatar, and when they get there they find out what kind of work they're going to do, they find their salary is going to be lower, and they find themselves trapped, because if they try to leave, either they're prevented from doing so or by their employers, who often take their passports, and all of the men we met had their passports confiscated, or they're afraid to leave because they have big debts back at home and they're afraid to go home without paying them.
We do most of the research, and then two managers who work with them and do a lot of the advocacy, so yeah, and Qatar does.
FIFA can do a lot, and FIFA has a responsibility. This is its major business, awarding the World Cup. As part of its major business, it has awarded the World Cup to a country where migrant workers are subjected to systemic abuse of their labour rights. As such, it has to act, given that those workers are going to be at risk of abuse on World Cup contracts, but not just World Cup contracts. If you think of it, in hotels, in shops, in sporting venues, most of the workers are migrant workers. Every football fan who goes to Qatar in 2022 will meet and engage with migrant workers, and unless something changes, it's likely that they'll be meeting people who've been subject to abuse of their labour rights. Well, we had some hope that with new leadership at FIFA we would see a change, and we've heard some language coming from FIFA around respect for human rights. They've certainly said some useful things, but we were very disappointed with their response to the report. We shared the findings with them in advance, obviously, and the letter we got back referred to broad policies of FIFA, but didn't deal with any of the specific abuses that we had identified in Qatar on a World Cup site. Now, we found that quite a shocking response from FIFA and quite disappointing, and we think there needs to be a step change in how FIFA is dealing with the Qatar migrant worker issue. At the moment, they're not doing anywhere near enough. They could certainly do far, far more.
Huge, because there are so many individuals involved, tens of thousands of people whose lives would be made better, and all we're really talking about is
What we are concerned about is the focus on accommodation to the exclusion of other serious problems. And accommodation is very visible, journalists can go and photograph it, and of course people should live in good accommodation. But there are other very serious issues, the kind of threats that workers get from employers. Do what we want, or we'll report you to the police, or do what we tell you, or we won't give you back your passport and let you leave the country. That kind of issue has to be seriously tackled, and that's about the sponsorship system. That's the core of where there's a big risk of forced labour, forcing people to work when they don't want to. And we had some heart-wrenching accounts during the research of men who were from Nepal, who were working in Qatar, who, when there were earthquakes in Nepal in the middle of 2015, wanted to go home to see their family, to find out if their family was just alive, and were told by their employer that they couldn't go.